should we say?
She will probably learn.
We're back with another episode of a conversation about COVID with our panel, YPG Commander Colonel Ross Poppenberger, Command Sergeant Major Jamathon Nelson, YPG Technical Director Larry Bracamonte, and Deputy Garrison Manager Ron James. Colonel Poppenberger, do you have any opening remarks?
All right, so we're back for our weekly video update. I want to say thanks for all of you that have been providing comments, both questions that you've been asking and comments in general. We've heard a lot of positive feedback from these videos, and so it's important to us that we continue to do them and provide feedback to the workforce. So thanks for the positive comments, and thanks for the hard questions as well. Hey, what I want to say is in the previous videos we've been talking about staying the course as we've been looking at the numbers increasing in the Yuma area, and to date the projections, the track of the projections were true, but as far as the severity of it in our area have not been true, and so that's a great thing. And so what it tells me is that our practices worked, that we did the right thing, you all did the right thing to distance yourself and kind of help mitigate the overall impact of COVID-19. What I will say is we're at a phase now. Our projection shows that hey, we're kind of right at the high water mark right now, and hopefully across the Yuma community we're going to start coming down out of this. Still on YPG and across all of our test ranges to include Yuma Test Center, Cold Region Test Center, down in the tropics, we have had no YPG personnel or contractors positive with COVID. So that's a great news story. And so it's one that says we've done the right things. We're continuing to do the right things, and there's going to be some practices that we've started implementing that we will continue to carry on forward with. There's been a fair amount of questions on, hey, are we still going to be able to telework after this? The short answer to that is absolutely, we will continue. We've learned some valuable lessons. We're also going to be doing some other great takeaways, which is more hand washing and those sorts of things. But what I do want to say is just like YPG led the community forward with implementing some practices, it's time for YPG to lead the community out of this and get back to as normal of a way of life as we can. So as we go through some of these questions today, we're going to kind of talk about some of the things. Case in point, Governor Ducey said, hey, next week on the 11th, restaurants are open for dine-in. We're going to do the same thing. So you'll see our restaurants opening up. It's going to be different, but we're going to get back to, opening up a restaurant down here at in the Rock Garden, over at the Cactus, and the other dining facilities on post. We hope to sustain the delivery service. I think that's been a great takeaway. And so Mr. James will talk a little bit on that, and you're going to be seeing guidance come out as it relates. Case in point, we just had a long discussion about the gym, the pool, the library, some of those other facilities that we want to get open, get our families back to having those services that we need. There's one more thing that I want to touch on. I just absolutely applaud the work that we've done. We've set the way with our masks. We were able to produce them and push them out. But as I go around, myself, the Sergeant Major, the other leaders at the table here, we go around, and as we come walking up to a group, everybody's putting the mask on real quick. I want to highlight that, yes, great, just like the CDC policies, what you're comfortable with, do that, but we're going to follow the standard, and what that standard is on DoD installation, YPG, any of the YPG ranges, on a DoD installation, when you cannot maintain a 6-foot separation from somebody, then yeah, mask up, but not required if you can maintain that 6-foot distance. So just because one of the leaders comes by and checks doesn't mean we're checking to make sure you have a mask. What we are going to look for is when you are within that six-foot bubble, then absolutely. But outside of that, just apply your common sense and practicality and follow the standards that we've talked about. So again, I applaud the efforts. We're going to continue to keep the YPG workforce safe. We're going to continue to do the great things we're doing. But there are some things we're going to open back up. I do want to go on record and just highlight, we never did shut down. From the beginning, I talked about we are open for business. We're going to keep the business open. And that's exactly what we've done. As we look at our statistics, our numbers, we are only 7% down from where we were last year in overall workload. So that's phenomenal. And it's a testament to, you know, getting through a challenging time in our nation's history. We still maintained the workload, the workforce, and pushed through. And so now there's some of the things that we did shut down or curtailed that we're going to get back and get operational, so we have those facilities to use. Again, you know, thanks, and I'll turn it over to Mark and ask the panel some of these tough questions.
Colonel Poppenberger, you've indicated that YPG's return to more normal operations is going to closely track with that of the Yuma community. Are you in lockstep with that, or would you be willing to make changes if necessary to protect the YPG family?
Well, yeah, absolutely. We will do anything to protect the YPG family. But what I also want to say is this, that our tactics, techniques, and procedures and policies have been working to date. We're doing the right things, and as I said in my opening comments, we've had no positive cases, and that's a testament to as I see it, you know, us as a team YPG leading the group forward. I do make the decision on that in what we do on YPG, but it's not in a vacuum. During the start of the COVID outbreak, I was holding senior leader meetings every single morning. I've curtailed those to 2 times a week, and we talk about the important issues and how we're going to run our post. Again, I retain the ultimate decision on coming out, or as I said in my opening up the different restaurants and whatnot. But it's based on data, it's based on input and trends. And again, it goes back to we've had no positive cases. So do we need to maintain some of the restrictions we've had, or is it time to, you know, get the pool open so that the kids can have a nice venue for the summer? We will continue to lead the community forward. We're looking at next week beginning to open up dine-in restaurants. And again, I do ask everybody to use their common sense and caution as we go forward. But we're gonna start opening things up. The Pentagon put a policy out on different gates based on number of COVID cases, and we're looking at that as a part of a model. But it's difficult because we've had no cases. A lot of it boils down to how many positive cases have you had in the last 14 days and whatnot. And so to date, our numbers are phenomenal. So it's time to you know, start leading the group forward and start reconnecting, getting back involved cautiously, deliberately, and as a planned approach.
Sergeant Major Nelson, as our new normal unfolds, the military freefall school is about to resume its very important mission. What can you say to members of the YPG family who are concerned about students from all over the country coming in here?
I'll address it. You said members of the workforce. It's really the entire community that's interested in this. And it's one of the questions we got. But like the Colonel was just saying, like we were just talking about, we have to get back to business. All right, we've never closed testing down. All right, but the free fall school shut down. They did that because they were instructed to, and now they're being instructed that, you know, they could turn it back on, and they're doing it very deliberately. They have policies in place for almost every step of the day. The class is going to be reduced size, and they've taken steps in everything that they're doing as far as what they're issuing them, what they keep them. They're not swapping equipment, social distancing throughout the entire thing. I know one of the questions is about the wind tunnel, and I mean they will social distance as much as they can in that, but they have to get back. That they support Army operations, all right, and Army operations can't stop. I mean, it's a force provider, and once you stop providing forces, you know, there's going to be that lag in there. So May 11th, or mid-May, they're looking at starting the next class. We're opening up in Arizona, with the 0 cases, and we have 1,000 people that leave here and come back every single day, and we've had visitors the entire time. And I know most of the residents and most of the people on YPG don't know that. They think the gates are locked and no one's coming. People have been coming the entire time, and we've been able to mitigate through practices, to keep this down to 0. So we don't have the curve the rest of the nation does. We can't make decisions on a downward trend because we have 0. We have a flat line. So, the Free Fall School has done a great job. They've gotten with us, they've gotten with their higher headquarters, and they've got a plan to mitigate and keep those students isolated. Like I said, the class is going to be about 50% of the normal, and then they will build to that. So I wouldn't say it's a new normal. It's just going to be the normal going forward, and how we get back to running YPG like we did last year at this time.
Mr. Bracamonte, the efforts of folks who are teleworking have really helped YPG maintain its mission over the past few months. And you've said before that we're going to keep that up going forward to a certain extent. But as we go forward, have you considered the impact on those who may not have home internet access or who have limited data plans?
Yes, we have, Mark. We're currently looking and seeing if we can get more of the MiFi internet devices, the wireless devices that are around out there. I will tell you that if you're running into this problem like right now, I would say that many of our supervisors do have these devices, and I would ask them to see if one could be borrowed. But as of right now, we are actively looking and trying to see what we can do about getting more of these devices so that people with either limited internet access or people that don't have internet at all can benefit from the telework experience.
Another question, Mr. Bracamonte. If there's folks who are concerned about COVID exposure, members of the civilian workforce, is there something we can do to facilitate them getting tested?
Yes, the Army Public Health Command has allowed us to test employees who are exhibiting COVID-19 virus symptoms. The rationale behind that is that obviously we want to make sure that we provide a safe work environment for the person's coworkers. So we will do that on a case-by-case basis. I would say if you fall into this category, please call the health clinic, and obviously they'll get your information and you can go from there.
Mr. James, in ordinary times, the YPG Fitness Center is very popular with the civilian workforce. When is that going to be available to them again, and what's that going to look like?
Okay, I'll start more broadly, and then I'll get to the fitness center, because these are some of the things that Colonel Poppenberger said in the beginning. Month of May will be very exciting because we're going to start opening things back up. And so as we work through this, we ask for the community's understanding and patience. I'll start with the pool because that's probably has the longest logistical lead because we have to retrain lifeguards and get them up to snuff so that we have certified lifeguards on the stands. But this month we'll have the pool open, the library open today. It looks different. It's you call in or email and you pick up your books in a bag and your video games or whatever you wanted from the library. It looks different. Food facilities, we'll open them up this month. They will look different. Everything's going to look a little different. We got to figure out the bowling alley. That'll be a challenge, but we'll get there, and we'll get there this month. Auto skills, we're going to do that by appointment only. That we could open that next week, no problem. And then going back to the fitness center, same thing. We're going to go through this methodically, but it's going to happen soon, and so we won't have like the sauna won't be open. Sports won't be available. Those things won't be available initially because we're going to go through this methodically and keep the community safety in mind. And so there's where we ask for your patience. We also ask for your input. So as we start to open things and you see where you could input to our community to let us know where we might be able to do it better, hit us up on ICE and let us know, you saw a restaurant downtown doing this and you think it might be a good idea. We would love to hear that from the community. But this month, we're opening up. Again, it'll look different, but it'll be an exciting month for us.
Colonel Poppenberger, there have been a lot of changes to various workspaces around YPG. Increased hygiene measures, things like plexiglass shields. going forward, are we going to sustain that?
Well, the short answer to that is yes, absolutely. There's going to be things that is going to, as we talk about our new normal, or getting back to whatever our normal is going to be. We're going to continue to see things like those plexiglass barriers up at the cash registers. That we're going to keep going forward with that. We're going to continue to keep our distance because these things work. And who knows what's going to happen with COVID, if it's going to be another resurgence or something. I don't know. I don't know what to think of, and I'm not going to speculate on that. But I do know every year we have the regular cold and the regular flu, and so we're going to continue to go forward with these practices. This is the goodness that has come out of this, and so we're going to continue to do these things. Right now, it's a specific question that I get asked from General Tyler every week is what's the status of your PPE and your cleaning supplies, and we're briefing out how much of those things that we have, and we're going to continue to do that. We're going to carry those practices going forward. One of the specific questions that I think there's several of them in this kind of broad category. One specific one was, hey, in our workspaces, are we going to continue to have as many people in cube spaces as we have? And what about people that share keyboards and stuff? Well, as I look at it, hey, what I do, myself, Mr. Bracamonte, Sergeant Major, we're in various VTCs, often with headquarters and whatnot. As soon as we get done, get up out of the room. If there's a public computer, we take the Clorox wipe and we wipe the keyboard off. Same with the phone con, we're wiping the equipment off. We're wiping our chairs. When we get up and we're done with these, you can see the haze on the table. We're wiping these tables down. Those are the practices that I want to see, all continue going forward, because in addition to, any resurgence that may or may not happen, it's just good hygiene practice, and hopefully it limits everybody around YPG from getting a common cold next year. So yes, those things we're going to do. As far as specifically moving workspaces out of a building and elsewhere, I don't know. That's going to be a discussion between the workforce and the managers that control those specific sections. But I do know this: we're going to continue on with our teleworking practices, and so I think just by the nature of doing that, it's going to increase some distance between us. So again, good questions. The short answer is yeah, we're going to continue, but it's dependent on you to do those things yourself. I'm not in your conference rooms. I'm not at your work desk. I'm not going around personally with the cleaning items. But I know I've talked to all of the leaders and said, hey, you need to have the cleaning supplies on hand. I know as I look around this conference room, we've got them. We do it. We clean it up when we leave. And elsewhere in my own office, I do so. So again, need you all to continue on to do that. So I think that sums up my question. I think that's the last of the questions here, Mark. I'll just go right into my closing comments and start off again by saying I applaud the YPG workforce from Alaska to South America and everywhere in between. You all do a phenomenal job. Together, we're getting through this and we're adapting and overcoming a challenging time. I think you've heard the tone as we've talked through, going forward and kind of coming out, getting some things that have scaled back up to normal. What I do want to highlight on that in my closing is if you're concerned about going to a dine-in restaurant, well, don't go. You don't have to. It's an opportunity for those that would like to go to those dine-in restaurants. But you can still maintain, your new normal and not participate in some of those. We intend to open the pool this summer. It's hot here in Yuma. The kids love it. It's a popular thing, but we're going to do it smartly. We're going to minimize the number of folks that are in there. And likewise, if you are not comfortable going to the pool for your family, then don't go and find something else. But I want to just reassure the workforce, just like the constraints we put on coming into this, we're going to methodically plan and deliberately move forward in leading the organization back into getting back on with our lives, operating within the constraints that this disease has caused us to do. And with that being said, again, thanks for all you do day in and day out. Phenomenal workforce, and just impressive amount of work that's been done as I review the numbers with the managers and looking at where we are and what we've done for keeping the doors open, keeping those paychecks rolling in, and most importantly, keeping the mission going. We've really set some new standards and some great new ways to do business. We've found some efficiencies, and we're going to continue to leverage the greatness that we're building on now. Thanks for what you do day in and day out, and we'll see you next week.